Yo, what's up guys? This is Bunny Muffins. I just updated my meta snapshot for the first patch of set 3, which is patch 10.6. I added a ton of compositions this week, and that's why I normally don't make this video because not too much changes during the course of a patch, but because this is the first patch of set 3, tons of different things have happened, and I want to update you guys on that right now. So S-Comp, still Rebels, nothing new there, but we already knew that going into this. But bunch of different A comps and B comps that are still very, very playable. And when everyone's going Rebels, you can go one of these different compositions and get first, maybe get a second, if the one Rebel guy really high rolls it. But when 4 people are going for the same composition, there's no way that all 4 of them are going to do well. So that's why you want to broaden your horizon and maybe try some of these other compositions. After Rebels, we have Cybernetic, Protector and Mystic, Mechs and Friends, Vanguard and Sniper at A tier, and then in B tier we have Vanguard Mystic, Protector Infiltrators, Blaster Brawler, Mech Pilot Infiltrator, and Dark Star and Snipers. Both the A and B tier compositions rely on either getting certain legendaries or going for 3-star units. But there are a couple compositions that are pretty good for top 4 that don't really rely on any of those types of high rolls. And then we have Sorcerers in C tier. They're not really playable yet. No one's really figured out the best build for them yet. I'm sure after they buff them a little bit, people will start to figure them out. Going on to the carousel priority, lots of changes here. I have bow as the worst item. This has not happened in a very long time, but pretty much no one really uses bows except for blasters. And to be honest, why go blasters when you could go rebels? So that's why it's not really that great of an item. It doesn't really fit in the other compositions. The other compositions love tank items, and also Morellonomicon and Red Buff are really strong. Guardian Angel's the best item on Gangplank, and Mech Pilots. So that's the reasoning for this order. Rod is still going to be the best because every composition needs at least 1 Rod item for damage, and Morellonomicon's the best item in the game right now. Moving on to the item quadrant, tons of changes here. In a similar vein to the carousel changes, all the attack speed items, they're really not that great. In fact, on this top list, the only attack speed item I have is Titan's Resolve, and that's really not a typical attack speed item. Rageblade for sure fell down. The best items are the tank items, Guardian Angel, Bramble Vest, Dragon's Claw, and of course Morellonomicon and Red Buff are following closely behind. These items work in pretty much any composition and are always going to be very strong right now, and Dragon Claw might even be a little higher now that I look at it because everyone's playing Rebels. The best counter to Aurelion Soul and Gangplank is a Dragon Claw, so you definitely want to be building those. Moving on now to the tier list. Again, I scout all the top players just to see what they're playing, how they're placing with each composition, and how often they're playing the composition. Rebels still by far the best. Not as prevalent as it was last week, but now people in lower elos are starting to play this a lot more. So just be careful of that. Don't force Rebels anymore just because they're very strong. You really only want to be playing them if not too many other people are playing them. Just because Aurelion Soul level 2 is just way too critical. Going on to A tier, we have Cybernetics. This is by far the second best comp, or easily the second best composition. You want to have a lot of sword items for Aurelia. You could go Deathblade, you could go Guardian Angel. Infinity Edge, I think, is the best, with Deathblade as a very close second. You want some early game item for Lucian, such as Red Buff or Luden's Echo for him. And then you want to do a fast 8 strategy, get Echo, and win from there with Aurelia 2-star. Going on to the next composition, we have Protector Mystic. Protector Mystics, I love this composition. It's just a little tricky because you need both 3-star Rakan and 3-star Xin Zhao. So what people do is they do something called slow rolling, which is going to the certain level which is optimal for rolling for a certain unit. In this case, we have 2-cost units. The most optimal level to roll for 2-cost units is at level 5 because there's a 40% chance to get them. And you just roll all your gold above 50 gold so that you always maintain full interest gold. And eventually you'll get both of these guys to 3-star units. And then you put a bunch of defensive items on them with 1 damage item, and then they 2v9 the entire game. And that's all you really have to do. Sona, this is the third most important unit in this composition. The reason why is because Sona's heal removes debuffs, including healing debuffs. So the celestial procs that you get from Rakan and Xin Zhao's damage, they'll always heal if you have Sona up because she removes Red Buff and Morello. Moving along, we have Mech and Friends. I love this composition personally because it's super flexible. You could either do slow rolling at level 6 to get Annie, Rumble, Kaisa, and Shaco all to level 3-star, Or you could go up to level 8, put in a Gangplank, put in a Kale, and do something more late game oriented. Lux is pretty good because she's probably the most versatile sorcerer, so you just put her in to buff the damage of your entire team. Lots of different directions with this composition, and that's why it's ranked so highly right now. I should probably up the difficulty on this, and this should be high. I'm going to fix that right after this video. Going down to Vanguard Sniper. Vanguards are in a very interesting spot. You really need Jace 3, in this case, Mordekaiser 3, sorry, with perfect items, and then you need to add a bunch of other stuff to complement him. So it's a very tricky composition. You don't always hit it, which is why the variance is very high. I list out the requirements here, but Mordekaiser, it's similar to the Protector composition. He just 1v9s everything. So instead of a 2 versus 9, you do a 1 versus 9 with Mordekaiser. Hopefully Jhin removes 1 or 2 people, so it's maybe like a 1 versus 7 instead. But super strong composition. It actually beats, with the 2 Mystic and the Dragonclaw, he actually doesn't die to Aurelion Soul, so this is a pretty strong composition. Going on to the B tiers, very similar comp to the Sniper one. This is Vanguard Mystic. This one relies more on hitting both Jace 3 and Mordekaiser 3, so there are a lot of variables here. So it's a little inconsistent, and also like the itemization's a little weird because you want Gunblade on Jace with like another ability power item. What I like doing with this composition is running Space Pirates in the mid game before I get to 4 Mystic, in order to get a lot more gold to get to level 8 faster. So you could do something like 4 Vanguard, 2 Space Pirates, and 2 Mystics before you hit the final composition. Next up, we have Protector Infiltrator. This one, I thought it was going to be really strong when I played it last week, but there have been better versions of this composition since then, such as the Protector Mystic one. For this one, you really want to stack Xin Zhao, Shaco, and Kai'Sa, and pretty much get at least one of them to 3-star, and then stack more items on that person. Preferably, you get all 3 of them to 3-star, but that's something that doesn't always happen every game. You don't really need Kale or Karma. Those are more late game additions. I'd much prefer prioritizing getting all of these 3 guys to 3-star. But this is a super strong composition. There are a lot of different itemization paths you can use as well, so it's actually kind of flexible in that sense. But you do need specific items for each champion. Moving on to Blaster Brawler, there's not much reason to play Blaster Brawler. You only really play them if you're going for Rebels and then you don't hit Aurelion Soul. Still a perfectly fine composition, don't get me wrong. Jinx is super strong right now. I hope they don't nerf her when they nerf Rebels and they nerf like Aurelion Soul and some of the other characters, maybe Ziggs. But you have a really strong tank line, and then you just need like 2 damage items on Jinx and then 1 defensive item. The ones I like the most are Giant Slayer, Red Buff, Trapclaw, and then for your late game bomb, you have Misfortune, and she's going to be your win condition if you want to get first. Jinx is good enough to get top 3 or top 2. Moving on to the final composition, we have Mech Pilot Infiltrator. This is another composition that really kind of fell off the map for me. Still very playable, but they're just better versions of it available. This one revolves around 4 Infiltrator, 3 Mech Pilots, and then adding in anything else you want. You want to get 3-star Shaco, maybe like a 3-star Kai'Sa, and then some tank items for your mechs. The last composition we're going to go over today is Dark Star Snipers. It's been picking up in popularity, but I don't think it's actually that strong of a composition. I know people are playing it, but I think they're more just experimenting with it or just playing it because all the other compositions are taken. But you want Runon's Hurricane on Jhin. That's going to be his best item, and then GA, and then Infinity Edge. Guardian Angel's really good because right as he dies, he spawns, autos attacks someone, and then with the Celestial buff, he's going to be healing a lot. So he's actually going to go back to full health with the 6-star Dark Star buff. Ashe is a very good support unit because she has an area of effect stun and is also a sniper. That's it for today. Sorcerers, we're not going to talk about them yet because no one's playing them, no one's figured them out yet. If you have seen them in your game, I'm sure they've won a couple of times, but it's nowhere near as consistent as all the other compositions I listed out here. But yeah, there are plenty of options to play other than Rebels. I'm going to go up to the summary up here, in case you guys want to take a look. And of course, you guys can always find this website at bunnymuffins.lol/meta. Let me know what compositions you guys have seen that aren't on this meta snapshot. Again, even if I don't include them, that just means the top players aren't playing them. It doesn't mean that it can't be good or start picking up in popularity next week. So just keep that in mind as you're playing the game. I am working on the leveling guide that everyone's been asking for, so you definitely want to look out for that in the future. And Also a video of how I personally got good at teamfight tactics. If you haven't already and you want to see more teamfight tactics meta snapshots, be sure to hit that subscribe button as it helps me out a lot. If you enjoyed this video, you can hit the like button as well, and also leave a comment on what you found useful and maybe also something you didn't find useful about this snapshot. But until then, I'll see you guys next time.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to share and subscribe, and of course smash that like button. Each like is an LP I gain before the next video.